Hey guys, Uncommon Roman here. In the last video, I didn't go over the modules very much, just because the video was running really long. So I wanted to go do a quick touch on the basically how the modules are laid out and whatnot. First thing you're going to notice on the front of the cover, the skulls at the bottom. Each module is going to have its own difficulty level, and in this particular case, it is one skull, which means that in general, this is one of the easier modules that you can play. And then it will list required components on the first page. For this one, you're going to need the myth-based game, the infected models, Tom the Plagued, which I believe is stretch goal from the Journeyman campaign, Sarah the Mystic, which is a stretch goal from the Journeyman campaign, and then the realm tiles and so on and so forth. And then essentially how they set it up is they'll show you the map, and they break it into a bunch of different acts. I think it's 3 acts per. So act 1, they'll give you a quick rundown of what's going on, and then a setup for the tile. And this is a replacement for the tiles, the realm tiles' own setup rules. So when you're doing a module, you're actually going to ignore these rules completely, and just set it up the way it's set up in the diagram, because they're, in this particular case, they're telling a story and the difficulty is already set up for you. And then you can just kind of see, I don't want to spoil it too much, so I'm just going to quickly go through here. I know some of you will pause this and try and glean as much detail out of this as possible, but that's really not the purpose of this. And it just shows 3 acts, a final page, showing a whole bunch of story-related text, and if you look right here, some resolutions that you can choose and what rewards you get for choosing those. And if you were a backer and you backed at a level that got stretch goals, then you are going to receive 3 of these just because of those stretch goals. And then they had a whole bunch of add-on modules that I'm going to show you now. So just toss these out of the way and get this big old box here. So this was the all-in modules. I backed every one of the modules because I thought the modules were an incredibly great idea. You get a really nice short story. It seems like, when I say seems like, I mean feels like. It feels like an instance if you were playing World of Warcraft. You can always revisit that instance if you felt like you missed an item or you felt like you just didn't do something correctly. The cool thing about the modules is I believe that they usually have, 1 to 2 different endings. So I think that's pretty cool. And the all-in modules had, I want to say 9, maybe 11 different modules. Let's take the top off here and just start digging in. The very top of this is literally just all the module books. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there were 8 modules. So I'm going to go through the modules really quick, and then I'll show you the realm tiles. So we have the Awakening of the Hyrni. This one is a 2.5 skull. This one is for the rats. So we look in here really quickly, the myth-based game, all the rodent figures, and Marcus the Ready. As well as the sword green item, the solace blue item, and the void cloak purple item. So that is how you get the void cloak. And it will show you at the end. And it's set up exactly the same way, where they show you the first act's map, and then they go through the whole story and everything. And then I'm just going to skip to the back, because like I said, I don't want to do too many spoilers here. But right here it says, players gain the Void Cloak purple token card if they successfully open the Hiranai Chieftain's coffin. So you know that you will receive that item if you open the coffin. So if you don't successfully do so, just go back through, just like an instance. So that is the Awakening of the Hiranai. Next up, we have the Dark Under. This one is 2 skulls. Also, I almost forgot one really interesting thing. They did put a description under difficulty of what it means to be 2 skulls. So in this particular case, that means the player should have a minimum of 2 earned titles, with at least 1 piece of upgraded gear retained from past adventures. So this one in particular, you could probably go into this relatively quickly if you've played a couple of normal games of Myth, because really just 1 upgraded piece of equipment means 1 green item as opposed to the brown item that you started with. And 2 titles, they're actually relatively easy to get, especially if you play the campaign that comes in the first Myth game. So this one is the Thieves. So the Thieves Guild is the Dark Under. And in this one, you will receive the Hand of Fate should you complete the goal. The 4 Pillars of Creation. So this is going to be all of your elementals. And the end boss for this one is Ia. And it is a 3 skull. Really quickly, difficulty, this module is 3 skull difficulty. This means the player should have a minimum of 3 earned titles with multiple blue quality items retained from past adventures. So this one's a little bit harder to go into because you need to have those blue items. And if only one person has like 1 blue item, you're probably not going to want to do this adventure because you're probably not going to live through it. But again, that is a matter of prerogative. The required components here, you see that we get Marcus the Ready, or we need Marcus the Ready again, as well as all the elementals. And then as I go with the back, the Eye of Ia is the epic card that you receive should you complete the requisite tasks. So next after that is Fury of the Fireborn. This one surprised me because it was only 2 skulls, but then if you open it up, under difficulty, the module is 2 skulls. This means that player should have a minimum of 2 earned titles and at least 1 novice hero card in their hero deck. So that's going to be one of your green cards. You can usually do that after one campaign, after completing 1 part of the campaign mode, you'll usually get 1 green card. So this one is actually an easy one to go into, and that's why it surprised me, because the Fireborn seemed like it would be something that would be kind of hard or even scary. But from what I'm seeing here, that's just not the case. This one, you're going to need the Fireborn minis, which is something we're supposed to get in Wave 3, as well as the Trachea Agent miniature, which is, again, something we're supposed to get in Wave 3, as well as Herastiel. Then you're going to look for the Mucker miniature and the Ragog, the Fierce monster card. So they give you the Ragog the Fierce. The Mucker miniature, you're just going to pull from your base Myth game set. And then Sir Acheron, again, is supposed to be part of Wave 3. And this is the one where they have the Crown of Cerinthius, the Purified Crown of Cerinthius, the Skull of the Corruptor, and the Talon of Traxxas. So I was wrong. This wasn't part of the Crown of Cerinthius was not part of the Naga set, but in fact part of the Furyborn instance. And then in the back, it's going to show you how to get the Talon of Firaxis. The next up is the Golden Gear. So this is going to be all of your TikToks. It is also only a 2 skull, but I think the difficulty on this one is a little bit different. So this one says this module is 2 skull difficulty. This means the player should have a minimum of 2 earned titles and at least 1 piece of upgrading. Oh, no, I guess this one. So this is one of the ones that you could probably get into pretty quickly. You're going to require the TikToks, the Knights, and the Mecharex, as well as Professor Sprocket, all of which are part of Wave 3. Father Josh, again, part of Wave 3. And then you're going to need the Inventor's Vest, the Crushing Fist, and the Timepiece. So this is how you're going to get your Timepiece. And this is each one of these dungeons, you could call them, is how you're going to get pieces, very specific pieces for very specific characters. So if you have a Trickster or Tinker in your party, and Timepiece is something that person is really going for, take on the Golden Gear and see what you can see if you can get it for them. You're bound to get other pieces as well throughout the campaign. Well, I guess the module that will benefit other characters too. But the last piece, the epic piece, is generally going to be specific for a class. Next up is the Lost Hoard of the Black Wall. So this one is also a 2-skull. This module is 2-skull. This means the player can attempt this module with starting heroes and no upgrades. So you see the 2-skull is kind of variable because, and I think in this particular case, this one should have been 1-skull if it was saying that you could attempt it without any upgrades at all. This is the module that you want to start with if you don't want to start with the campaign. Like you just want to roll a character and immediately start getting into the game. This is the module you want to start with. And this one is going to be your Gooples, your Doppels, and pretty much... Well, let's see. The Gooples and the Doppels is part of Wave 3. The Herni that you use here are part of the base set. The reptiles are part of the Blackwall Warrens set. And then the Craven... No, Craven is not. The Wrath, the dude right there, he is a stretch goal. So he should be part of Wave 3, I think. And then the Goopy Ichor purple item. Now, if we go to the Goopy Ichor... It's in here somewhere. It doesn't say. I'm just going to pick that card up real quick. Because Goopy Ichor, I think, doesn't necessarily have to go to a specific class. But more importantly, is just a random unique ring item or ring slot item. It is actually a pretty cool item. So this one, you don't necessarily... It's just a fun item to have, and it's a great end of the dungeon item. So the second to last one is the old ones. This is your Naga, and this one is 3-skull. In this one, the module is 3-skull difficulty. This means the player should have a minimum of 3 earned titles and advanced to Journeyman rank with multiple pieces of upgraded gear retained from past adventures. So for this one, you shouldn't even be going into this one until you've already attained the Journeyman title, which means that you should have already played part of Shores of Canis or Blackwall Warrens. And then the required items here are the Naga miniatures, which is part of Wave 3, the Medusa miniature, which is part of Wave 3, the Eumelia miniature, which came in Blackwall Warrens, and the Naga hide armor, which is just the purple item that you get at the end here, and here's how you get it. And then finally, the last module is the Siege of Ferren Rock. The Siege of Ferren Rock is actually 4 skulls. And we'll just jump right in here and look at the difficulty here. This module is a 4-skull difficulty. This means that the player should have 3 or more Journeyman cards in their player decks and several pieces of high-end gear, gold or above. It is recommended the module not be played with less than 4 players. This module is the culmination of the Journeyman experience. Good luck. So really quickly, I'm going to go over that. The Journeyman upgrade cards you're going to do while you're going through the after you've hit Journeyman while you're going through the campaign leveling up. So that means that you have to have at least leveled up 3 times. So at least been able to put three Journeyman cards into your deck. Secondly, everyone, all 4 characters that should be doing this should all be at that level. Not to mention, you should have some pretty insane gear by that point. Some set items, some purple items, some orange items, maybe even a few blue items. But really, honestly, you should be decked in gold, purple, and orange to even think about going into this. And then finally, it says this is the culmination of the Journeyman experience. So essentially, after you've finished the Siege of Ferren, if you do successfully complete it, that means that you are no longer Journeyman status, that you have finished the Journeyman experience and now can move on to, I believe what is next is Masterclass. And I don't know where Myth is going at the moment. It seems to be in limbo. I know that Ulysses, or whatever they call them, picked them up. From where I stand, that's a no-name company. I've never heard of them before. I've never heard of any of the RPGs that they have released. So I don't know anything about them. So whether we're going to see a masterclass for this is still up in the air. This is the final battle that you can get for your Myth experience should the masterclass just not happen. And we can see that by looking at what you're going to require here, in that you need both the Myth base game, Myth Blackwall Warrens, and Shores of Canis, all the item expansions, all the realm tile expansions. You're going to need Hiram Clad, whatever his name is, which is the Titan stretch goal. You're going to need all the agents. You're going to need all the allies. And you're going to need every single solitary one of the monster groups, which includes the Dragon Scales, the Fireborn, the Tailless, the Clockwork, the Gator, the Crawler, the Grubber, the Undead, the Thieves, and all their cards. So everything is being thrown at you in this module. So should you somehow survive that, you definitely deserve to rank up to that master class. And then the Razorhelm purple item is just kind of a, here's a cool thing to have at the end of this campaign. Good job. I'll show you the very end here. You get Defenders of Ferren, and then it has something to do with this guy they call the Collector. This was something that they did end up creating, even though we didn't end up making it as far as stretch goal is related, so it wasn't something that we're going to receive for free. It's just its own thing that you can purchase later. So that is the module experience. And as you can see from all, the modules pretty much play out like an instance in World of Warcraft would play out. In their own separate experiences, and they each have their own unique thing that comes at the end of it. I'm going to go in here really quick and pull out the realm tiles that came with this. So there's a big old stack of realm tiles here. You can see right here, they are all double-sided. And they do still have the key at the bottom, should you choose to do campaign-related play or make your own story. The tile setup is still available on these tiles, so you can use them as well. And they're all double-sided. And I'm not disappointed by the quality. So, granted, everything that's happened so far with the Myth campaign, taking all of that into consideration, it doesn't seem like they sacrificed on quality, which they easily could have done to save money at the expense of all of the backers. I will reiterate that they started the campaign with a goal of $80,000, and at the end of the campaign they had $980-something thousand. So what they did during the course of the production part of this is unknown to me, but somehow they managed to royally mess it up. And because of that, we, the backers, suffered, especially when it came to stretch goals and whatnot. And, you know, I just received this, 2 days ago? Maybe 3? And, you know, I backed it 3 years ago. So it's 2 years overdue. Or more. But for the sake of quality, they did a good job. And then the last thing we're going to look at here. So each one of these modules obviously is going to have a specific monster type that's in there. So this is the Hyrany. Here's your title and your layers. If you have the 3D sculpted ones like I do, you don't need those. Title and layers. This is the Dark Under. The elementals, title and layers. I want to say the Fireborn, title and layers. The Clockwork, titles and layers. The Ooze, title and layers. Ferren Rocks of the Dragon Scale, title and layers. And last but not least, the Naga, title and layers. So that's what we got with the all-in modules. In the previous video, I looked at the stretch goals and several of the cards, including the character cards. I didn't look at the Brawl-related content, because that was kind of just an addition that I didn't really honestly care about. So yeah, hopefully we'll get Myth Wave 3, which is the final wave, you know, sometime before next year. But I literally have no faith at this point, even with their selling the IP to Ulysses. I know nothing about the company. So I don't know. Don't have a whole lot of faith. We'll see what happens. And of course I'll do a video once we receive those, which will probably be followed by another lengthy rant. But if you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and leave any comments down below. I love reading it, and maybe there's something you want me to touch on or clarify. And until next time, guys, peace.